Palestinians may be eligible for a variety of existing pathways to enter the United States, such as immigrant or non-immigrant visas. We are constantly evaluating policy proposals to further support Palestinians who are family members of American citizens and may want to join them in the United States. I don't have any potential changes to preview at this time.
That's a bad idea. We talked about that yesterday, right when it broke. I think it was like in our third hour when it came out that the administration is discussing bringing in, they're proposing this. This is something they're advocating for. These quote unquote refugees from Gaza that the Arab League won't even accept, that Jordan won't accept, that Lebanon won't accept, that Egypt won't accept, that Qatar won't accept, for good reason. If anybody knows the history of that area, and that is the State Department spokesperson, Matt Miller, on that. He said, they might be eligible for a variety of different reasons, different pathways. Welcome back to the program. Dana Loesch here with you. You can listen coast to coast. You can also watch the simulcast of the program on Channel 347 DirecTV, on X, YouTube, Rumble, everywhere else on this issue and many others. I think she's one of the most fiery members of Congress, and we need members like this in Congress. And I think she's probably one of the most ferocious fighters that they have in the House. And of course, we're talking about Indiana's own Congresswoman Victoria Spartz, who joins us now via Skype. And she was coming in hot. She's working. She's out there talking to her voters. I want to talk with you, though, Congresswoman. First off, so good to see you. Always good to have you. I just wanted to get your reaction to this new proposal from the Biden administration to bring in these refugees, that's what they're calling them, from Gaza, that for good reason no other Arab nation will take. They want to resettle them here in the United States. That's the proposal.
Well, listen, Dana, we're a country of immigrants, but we're a country also of immigrants that came to America to make our country great. We had immigration to jobs. We actually need to serve our national interests. We're a country of immigrants that were united of ideas of freedom, that were united by Constitution, and we're not teaching them. That's what makes our country great. Now we're trying to bring people here illegally, pay them benefits that bankrupt in our country. We create immigration to welfare, and on top of it, we start bringing people countries that are actually dangerous for us. We are actually not vetted properly. We've seen what's happening when we did, the evacuation from Afghanistan. We wouldn't help, real allies, but then brought up some people we didn't know who they were because it was completely mishandled. And these are dangerous countries. There are terrorists there that want to destroy, kill Americans. We open borders and now open pretty much borders and parole authority to this administration that abusing it. It's very dangerous. It's not in our national interest. It puts Americans in danger. And you saw what's happening on these campuses. We have very violent people that try to oppress Americans and get them into submission with anger, with oppression, and DOJ and FBI is helping them, this administration helping. I think we're becoming a tyrannical country, and they want to use these aggressive people to intimidate us, and the Americans better wake up.
I think it's exactly, talking with Congresswoman Victoria Spartz from Indiana. You mentioned the college protests as well. None of this, I don't think anybody can look at this, even people on the left, and see that or think that this is in any way organic, that it's not widely planned. I mean, it's an election year. They have, these Israel versus Gaza. It's a way to kind of, I think, turn up the heat on Joe Biden. But what happens, Congresswoman? I mean, at some point, class has got to end. School's got to be out for summer. What are these rioters, these pro-Hamas protesters going to do when everybody goes home for the summer? How are they going to get attention for themselves? That's kind of what I'm concerned about.
Well, listen, I agree with you, but I'll tell you, this is a very organized group of people and well-funded. They try to destabilize and intimidate, and you can see that some of them not even college students, but they brainwash college students, and you can see a lot of this administration and college presidents are afraid of them. Some have agenda, but some of them are truly afraid. It was interesting. We had our former governor and Purdue University president on Fox News, a few days ago, and he said some of these young people came to his office and there's we are not negotiating and this, and he said, we have one thing in common. I'm not negotiating here too. You have to be toughness, and you need to say, you know what? This lawlessness is unacceptable. We are not anarchy. We are the country of the rule of law. You are not going to be treating other students, Jewish students or Christian students or whoever it is. Let's come after Jewish students right now. Then next going to be Christian students. Then next to be all of us. And they want you to be afraid. They want you to be scared. And that's what they do. And in politics, the same thing. They come to your town halls screaming at you. They all try to make you afraid. And we need to stop that, because this is how tyranny happens when good people are not willing to stand up and afraid. And it's a very small minority, but very well-funded and organized. And that's what they do it. That's how Marxists happen in former Soviet Union. That's how these ideas are promoted. That's through violence and intimidation. That's how communism and socialism is put on people. And we see the same trends where we now have political elites that control and is supported by our police state, the DOJ and FBI became, and they want us all equally poor and oppressed. And this is something that I can see that and breaks my heart. I grew up under that. And we as Americans will say enough is enough, and we need to stand up, and we need to have adults in the rooms. And some of these people will say, we're not going to be treating policemen like that. We're not be treating Americans like that. We're not going to be allowing anti-Semitism and oppression of Jewish people. And unbelievable how much suffering they went through. And we are not going to be intimidated by some small group of radicals.
That's and exactly, and it's so well funded. I know that there was a report that came out looking at all of the different groups that are kind of pulling the strings on this and that are giving money to all of these. They will send out like these professional agitators to some of these universities. They found some at University of Texas down in Austin, UT. Which didn't entirely surprise me, but it always starts on these college campuses. It's been like that in Europe. It was like that with the Cultural Revolution in China. Why Congresswoman, do you think that it always kicks off on these college campuses?
Because I think it's very easy. I think a lot of young people have been very brainwashed, and and it starts with schools, it starts with education, with family, religious values, and really fundamentals. And we are not teaching. So these kids are becoming easy to manipulate. Then you use data collection through TikTok, and China can put artificial intelligence on top and quantum computers and really mess with people's brains. So they understand that some of these kids are frustrated, some of these kids depressed, with a lot of reasons what's happening right now, because honestly, we're not building strengths in our young generations. And this is a huge national security issue. Only 30% of our kids are even eligible to be in the military. Only 30%. 70% of kids are not even eligible. That is a national security crisis. And then they're easy to get manipulated. And that's what they want to use them, because if you want to have tyranny and create puppets, they want to do it with young kids. And a lot of them, unfortunately, fall into that trap. So I think we need to start thinking about it, what policies are driving that, because I think we weakened our children, maybe sometimes with a good intent, but we made them weaker, and they become really now a tool and puppets to very radical group of people.
Yeah, they become their foot soldiers. Talking with Representative Victoria Spartz, you mentioned, growing up in Ukraine, you had a front row seat to tyranny in action. You watched it grow. You watched it take over. The funding that went through the House, it was interesting because I think people assumed, because you were born in Ukraine, that you would immediately vote and support funding for the Ukrainian government. And you've been very clear on this. You're like, I have my heritage, but that's separate from how I want to see governments behave. Talk to us about this, because you've been very clear about accountability for this money. And we talked the other day about the Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine saying that if the United States and the EU didn't meet their obligations, then Ukraine wouldn't be able to pay pensions and benefits. And I thought, well, you're in a state of war. That should be the last thing that you're worried about, is pensions and benefits.
Well, listen, unfortunately, and then Ukraine, actually, it was the Soviet Union when I grew up. The country doesn't exist. Actually, I was born in the Soviet Union. It doesn't exist for a reason, because socialism always fell apart. And, and it brings a lot of suffering. It's when run out of money and mob rule. And you see Ukraine, young people fighting for over 30 years, try to regain freedoms, go through bloodshed and cannot get through it. So you have to separate people in government. And I thought it was kind of offensive, that people like, countries that are left 20 24 years ago, an American congresswoman, that I have to protect my children, your
Right.
children, and national interests of my country, I would be attacked that I am not questioning money going to foreign corrupt government. I mean, this is actually offensive as an American. We're a country of immigrants and with different heritages. What unites is the love and fight for our constitution and our principles and freedoms. We're countries of ideas. All of us have different heritages, and I think it's totally un-American, but it's okay. The left want to intimidate. That's because people like me don't fit their narrative. They cannot say I hate immigrants. They cannot say that I hate women. They cannot say that when I'm questioning Ukraine that I'm Kremlin, pro-Putin, even though they say that, okay? But it's a lie. So it's become dangerous for them, and they come at you viciously at you, but it has to make you stronger because I know how much people sacrifice. I know how much Americans are suffering right now. So I'm not going to fault for them. I don't care if they attack me. I'm going to tell the truth, and I will hold these governments accountable. We're spending money of our grandchildren. And if money don't go to the causes, we've seen what's happening after $2 trillion spent in Afghanistan. What happened? It was embarrassing. We left weapons to terrorists. We embarrassed and, abandoned our lives. $2 trillion. What did we achieve? We need to get smart in our foreign policy. We want to deter people like Putin or Xi in China or Iranians, that really on attack. But, doing slush funds and no strategy, it's not serving good for any interest and for American interests. So, it's definitely... they try to use all of the media and try to attack. They're doing it for Trump all the time. Makes me feel bad at least that he exists. So they change attacks for him and Marjorie. At least they don't always write about me. So it's a good thing. Thank God in some ways for him what he has to go through. But you can see what they're doing. They try to take presidential candidate through judicial system. This is only in communist and totalitarian countries. In the dictatorship, things like that happening. Unbelievable. But I think Americans are waking up, and I see the people start paying attention because I think this goes already to the level that, I think they go overboard in a lot of the things, and people see that, and I hope that these elections, Americans will wake up.
I hope so as well, talking with Congresswoman Victoria Spartz. And I think they are waking up, and I also think that they're really paying attention to every single, more so I've noticed in the past, I think maybe 5 to 6 years, than previous time. They're paying attention to every single bill, every appropriations, everything that's happening in the House and Senate. And I noticed as well, you received the Fiscal Hero Award from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. That's a tough award to get. Congratulations on that.
Well, thank you. Actually, it was kind of funny. I don't know if you can trust AI or not, but one of my colleagues was looking at top 5 people in Congress that care about fiscal issue, and I came up number 1 according to AI. So I guess I'm doing enough fighting on this issue and try, because I understand, border security, and our debt are 2 top national security issues, because debt and inflation is going to destroy low-income people on fixed income and middle class in our country. And people need to realize most of this money don't go to we the people. We create a lot of very wealthy oligopolies over there. And I think at some point we need to have a backbone and say enough is enough. We're destroying future of our children, and we're actually destroying opportunities right now for all of the young people. Young people should be really, really upset right now. They should be rioting not on campuses. They should be in Congress, demanding this Congress to stop destroying their future.
Exactly.
That's where they should be there, because we're truly, truly screwing them. Right now, it's sad for me to see that we have to look, and each generation of American was going to live a better future for their children. And we right now might be that generation that will not, because we are being irresponsible. We're truly being irresponsible and don't care what's happening in the country. So I hope, with all of the drama, and I know that, that people don't like drama, but the muscle memory and swamp is deep. So sometimes it takes a little bit shaking and up, but people now paying attention what's happening in Congress. People even know how the speaker is elected. So maybe it's a good thing, because people have a glimpse in what's really happening in politics. The same when during COVID with all of the bad things, a lot of parents had a glimpse to see what's happening in schools, and a lot of parents got really pissed off, because it will take Americans to get very upset and put in pressure on politicians to get something done.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Congresswoman Victoria Spartz, congratulations on the Fiscal Award, and thank you for your fight in D.C. and your just transparency. We so appreciate it. Thank you so much. So good to talk with you.
Thank you.